Welcome to another episode of Expected Buffalo, the podcast. We are brought to you by One Pie Pizza, onepiepizza.com, 2185 Clinton Street in West Seneca, open daily from 9 to 8. In Hiller and Comerford, hillercomerford.com, 1866 Hiller Law for your local personal injury and disability. Go to a Wednesday evening. We're coming to you here. A little bit of Sabres breaking news that we are going to kick this off with. So I appreciate the Sabres getting the Josh Doan contract extension in before we started this and allowed me to shuffle around some of the topics that we were going to go through today, because obviously a Josh Doan contract was not going to be among them. But what we are going to get to as I cover a variety of topics, the main focus I wanted to get into today was on the defensemen, in particular, how they're being utilized and the minutes that they are receiving, and how we're starting to see that impact them a little bit here. So we're going to get into that, talk about that. We're going to talk about Noah Ostlund and Helenius. Did I get it now? Helenius. Helenius. I think I said it right. And then where we'll end is the goaltender question. Of course, they're all healthy now. How do we see that playing out here as we move forward? But where we, of course, will kick things off is the news of the day. And no, it's not a Terry Pegula press conference on this podcast. It is the 7-year contract extension for Josh Doan. 7 years, $6.95 million. Takes him to his age 31 season. The first on-ice significant move that we have seen in the Jarmo Kekalainen era comes with one of their young key impact players. So, hey, where to begin here? It's initial reaction at the top, right, is the 6.95 for the next 7 years. Very likely is going to age really well for this team as the cap continues to rise and you move forward. I was thinking it would be definitely in the 7s or 8s. It's hard to miss. This, of course, is less than JJ Peterka got and more term than his new contract with Utah. So that's, of course, you notice that right off the bat too. But not a lot to, I don't want to say be concerned about, I guess the way to put it. I mean, I have no concerns. I think this is a great player they have here. This is a glue player. This is a, Kekalainen called him a core player. And I guess when you're giving him a 7-year contract, he does become a core player for you. And I think he's, it's really hard to put into words. I think you kind of have to see it, how his presence on this team has changed things. I think the way he plays is infectious. I think the way he plays has brought others along for the journey to play a similar way and just perfectly fits into the style of team they're, starting to become. Not only a team that can skate well and get out and run if they want to, but that forechecking. But not only in the offensive zone, in the neutral zone, in the defensive zone, all three areas of the ice. He is a key impact player. And this is great. This is a great first move for Kekalainen. It's very exciting. It's a sure sign to the room, too, that if you perform well, you are going to be rewarded. And, to kind of show that there's still a willingness, from ownership or management to believe in guys in this roster, maybe guys they didn't bring in, and still give them contracts and tie them here long term. So it's, I can't think of any negative besides the possibility of it aging poorly over the next 7 years, but I don't see that at all. I think this gives them a pretty good, clear picture over the next few years of how their, cap is going to be structured, getting this done long term. Like I said, it takes him right through his age 31 season, so pretty much through the entirety of his prime. You have this player locked in for. So, excuse me, it's exciting. It's a very exciting situation unfolding here for this team, not only on the ice with their wins and their potential playoff push and all of that. It's bleeding into guys getting the contracts they deserve, being good contracts that should age well for you, and yeah, and then like you go beyond that too in this, beyond just the good cap hit and locking up long term. There's a couple of interesting things that you can notice in the structuring of this contract. So we've talked about it many times, in particular when it came to Alex Tuck, that the Sabres under Kevin Adams and maybe when Terry Pegula was more involved than I think he's going to moving forward. We didn't see bonus structure handed out, or when we did, it was only in the first year of that contract. In Doan's new contract, not only does he have a bonus structure in the first year, he also has it in the second year too. So now, this isn't crazy, but it's $7 million of signing bonus in the first 2 years. So his first year of his new contract that'll kick in next year is $3.5 million bonus, $3.5 million salary, I think however it works out to be. Then year 2 is the same, and then it's that even 6.95 salary that he'll get over the life of the contract remaining. When Kekalainen was hired, one of the things that he was asked about, if I think it was when he did the interview the next day with WGR, if they were going to be, if he was allowed to use bonuses or different structures based on how we're seeing contracts move around the league and how things are going. And his response was that he was, but then he kind of went into a, explanation of you have to make the right bonuses and the right structures because of how it can impact the team moving forward. And kind of at the end of it, you were like, okay, so maybe they're not going to be that open to it. Well, the first contract he hands out, like I said, while it's not a huge bonus number, there's some different structuring than what we've seen in the past on this deal. So one would to believe that in the future moving forward, this team, when it comes to contract negotiations, are willing to be creative with the structure, utilize that as an opportunity to get players to stay or to sign players in free agency. I think it opens, some windows for them to be different and be creative. So that's good. That's very encouraging to see that in the first contract handed out. A small step in the right direction there. Maybe a baby step, but still a step in the right direction. And I think the last thing you want to call out with this contract is in his UFA years, so years 4 through 7, Doan will carry a 7-team no trade clause, which the Sabres have put some no trade clauses in contracts in the past. That's not really a new thing. But Doan will carry that through his UFA years. So there is trade discussion there. He'll have some control over that. So very exciting. Big first move on the ice for Jarmo Kekalainen is the Josh Doan deal. Working out very well for the Sabres, and hopefully that continues, obviously. And we have a new core piece here that under the Kekalainen era that we can put into that column. And we'll see what else he wants to do moving forward. Zach Benson is another one that could be in the mix to maybe get a extension of some kind here. And we know the Alex Tuck situation is out there. Bo Byram would be one in the off season. They can't until July 1st give him a new contract. We'll see if they want to do that or should do that. That's a conversation for another day, of course. I don't even think there's much more to go into there. So good news, exciting day. When things, we're looking pretty bleak on the football side. It's a flip of the coin, if you will, that the hockey team comes in to boost morale here on a couple of days. Haven't been the best for Buffalo sports, to say the least. All right, so let's move here as we're about 10 minutes in to the main topic that I did want to talk about before this Doan news broke, and that's the defense. So over the last couple weeks, Lindy Ruff has really leaned on his 4 defensemen, the 4 defensemen being Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, Matthias Samuelsson, and Bowen Byram. They're all playing to varying degrees very well, and it's understand why he is leaning on them and relying upon them to help them close down games, to win these games, with the stretch that they're currently on right now. And there's no reason really to not do that or continue that when you look at the injury situation with Kesselring And then, Connor Timmins, who's been out for close to a month now, or a little bit over a month now. But at some point, the check is going to come due on that. What I mean by that is you're having all four of these guys play upwards of 20 minutes a night. You're in a compact schedule right now. So right now you're at 6 games they played in the last 9 days. They're going to get 7 in 11 days when they play Montreal. Then they play again on Saturday. Compact schedule. Travel mixed in. Buffalo, Carolina, Nashville, Montreal, Long Island, Toronto, I think they go to before they come back home, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, there's a good amount of travel, a lot of minutes, close games, high leverage situations. It really, I think, for the first time started to showcase itself yesterday in Nashville. The team, got off to a great start. They built that 4-0 lead. They looked like they were going to steamroll the Predators for about 30 minutes of that game. And then the gas engine flipped to E. And it looked like for the rest of that game, they were just skating in mud. They had no legs. The energy was low. And they really kind of scratched and clawed their way to a 5-3 victory, almost giving up a 4-goal lead. But they get their 2 points. But out of that, it's not even so much that when you're tired, you don't skate as fast, or your shifts are long, or just you know what I mean, like in the skating aspect. It's mental too. It's not just physical fatigue. It's the physical fatigue then builds into the mental fatigue. And what we're seeing in that is we're seeing some poor coverage around the net. We're seeing some poor exits. We're seeing players standing and watching. We're seeing defensemen get caught flat-footed at times. Things we, for the most part of these 4, we haven't seen for some time now. And it's not really all of them. I think they've taken their turns, though, and all 4 of them having, not their best moments over the last couple games. But really in Nashville yesterday, I think almost all of them. Maybe Power and Byram, didn't look as much like they were really pushing through it. But still, I thought also, I maybe a little bit. But I mean, Dahlin and Samuelson, you could really see it. You could really, Dahlin with a lot of turnovers. Samuelson just looked like he was just in a war to get through that thing. Again, it's not types of plays you've seen these guys make, leading up to this over the last couple of games. So I went and looked to, as we should do, we should put facts and numbers behind what we're seeing. So I went and looked since December 1st. The Sabres' top 4 defensemen are all in the top 60 of time on ice per games played in all situations. They're the only team in the league to have 4 defensemen in the top 60. I think there's about 5 or 6 who had 3. Then the rest of the league were 2 or less. So again, all 4 of their defensemen since December 1st are top 60 in time on ice per game played in all situations. And the flip side of that, which is interesting, that I really wasn't looking for this part of it until I scrolled to the bottom of the file or the data dump and saw these 2 players at the very bottom. Jacob Bryson and Zach Metza, among all defensemen since December 1st to at least play 50 minutes in all situations, they are the 2 lowest time on ice per games played defensemen in the NHL, like I said, since the 1st of December. So that right there is your unsustainable red flag. You're doing something that nobody else in the league is doing, very clearly. You're leaning heavily on players in a compact schedule, in a lot of high leverage situations of close games. And you just flat out, you're essentially in a 60-minute game, 50 minutes of it, you're utilizing 4 defensemen. The other 10 minutes, the other guys are getting it. And sometimes it's less than 10 minutes. It's like 8 for each of them. That's a lot, especially when you get to third period, you're trying to hold leads. When it gets to the third period and the Sabres are ahead, like forget it. Bryson and Metza might see the ice one time. In most instances, not at all. And it's worked, and they've gotten away with it, but as we just, again, like I said, you're basically playing a game here almost every other day until the Olympic break in a couple of weeks. It just feels like that check's going to come due. So, okay. Well, what are the solutions we have? First obvious solution is, okay, do we have anybody else in Rochester we could bring up to help? The answer there is no. Ryan Johnson, I just think, is not an NHL player. And this coming from someone who was a very big Ryan Johnson fan. Zach Jones, they just simply do not trust, it seems. So he's not going to get the opportunity. Komarov is hurt. He's week to week down in Rochester. That was announced today. So, like, the only one there is Novikov. And I'm just sorry. He's not. His foot speed, he's not ready to play in the NHL yet. He's not going to be better than Bryson or Metza. Okay, so you're not finding help in Rochester. Great. Oh, and by the way, Rathbone is hurt too, I'm pretty sure. So you can cross him off your options as well. Michael Kesselring. What is going on there? I mean, I put a post out the other day that, like, I would just shut him down at this point over these next 2 weeks because whatever lower body injury, I think it's an ankle, but I'm not 100% sure, injury has just simply isn't healing. He's coming back for a game or two or a handful of games, and it re-injures it and has to go back out again. I don't know why you would at this point just sit him, rest him, get him to be in top form by the time you return back from the Olympic break. But as we're seeing with these minutes usage, they kind of need him. So does he get back in against Montreal, and you kind of cross your fingers and hope that you can just get to the break and then a couple of weeks off will help him? Maybe. Connor Timmins isn't coming back to save you before the break, but the good news is after the Olympic break, he should be back. So the injury, the broken leg, was 6 to 8 weeks. It happened on December 18th. By the time the Olympic break ends, I think it's on the 20th of February, the Sabres are back on the ice, so that's 10 or 11 weeks. So he'll be back most likely after the Olympic break. So in theory, you're going to have your full stock of defensemen back after the break. Knock on wood, everybody is going to be healthy at that point. After the break, you should have your full stock back. But then the question comes in, well, do you want to just take your chance over these last, I think it's 8 games, and, all but one are against Eastern Conference teams? Do you want to just take your chance that you can just get through it? Or do you want to try to find help? Do you want to try to find a depth defenseman? Because really, like, are you, is Jarmo Kekalainen that interested in Connor Timmins? Does he like him that much as a player? I mean, he was pretty up and down during his time with the Sabres. Before he got hurt, I know he's a good penalty kill guy, which maybe they need because their penalty kill is trending a little bit in the wrong direction. So they could use him back there. But I don't think it would hurt if you can find the right guy in a depth role. Maybe somebody who could rotate, maybe somebody who can challenge Timmins for that bottom lineup. But then also it's insurance. If somebody else goes down or whatever, you have some more insurance built into your blue line. So I wrote down a couple of guys. I didn't go into great depth. I think it's still too early. We don't know who's going to work their way out of it and what teams are going to be sellers, look to move guys, because it's so compact, especially in the Eastern Conference, to really have a good grasp of that here in the end of January. But a couple of guys I wrote down. So Carson Soucy from the New York Rangers is one, $3.25 million, and then he'll be a UFA after this season. I don't love that. Lindy Ruff wants to have his defensemen who are mobile and can get up in the play and the attack. That's just the style they play. I don't know if Soucy is that. I think he can do it to a degree, but it's not my best idea. I think the cap hit's a little bit too high for what I'm looking for. Another guy I wrote down is Logan Stanley, Winnipeg Jets. Left shot defenseman, big left shot defenseman. $1.25 million, and he's a UFA after the season. Again, I just don't know if he has the skill set to fit and play in the Sabres system. So that might not be the best, option there. And this last one is the interesting one. And we just saw him last night, and I thought he was decent. And that is Nick Blankenberg of the Nashville Predators. Right shot defenseman, $775,000 this year. Then he's a UFA when his contract is up after this season. Owen Power teammate from the University of Michigan, if you might recall. Some really good underlying numbers this year for the Predators. On the smaller side, not a big defenseman by any means, but he's one who could skate well. He can get up in the play in transition, fits from a stylistic standpoint from what the Sabres would want if they're going to bring in a defenseman who could play in that bottom pair, rotate in, and not miss a beat in terms of, the way they want to attack the game. The problem that comes with that as well, Nashville, although they didn't look that great last night, well, the second half of the game they did, after a rough start, has worked their way back into the playoff mix in the Western Conference. Let's see where they officially sit today. So they're at 50 points, so they're 3 points out of a wild card spot. And then they're well out in the Central Division, but so I don't know. Does Nashville want to do that? Maybe in a couple of weeks they would, but that doesn't help you now, right? That's kind of what you're looking for, is something you can go to now and pull a player in. You can go through some of these other teams, Chicago, Calgary. There's some guys here or there, but I don't think anybody I'm particularly interested in, or like I said, fits from a stylistic standpoint. It's difficult because, if you go down to Nashville, there's every team besides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the West that are in it. And in the Eastern Conference, every team besides, I guess, Columbus and the Rangers are realistically in it. Ottawa's flirting with being out of it. They're 5 points out. Columbus is 7 points out. The Rangers are, the Rangers already waved the white flag on them, so they're out of it for sure. So, but that's a difficult thing. So really, to kind of come back to it, to bring this conversation full circle, it's, well, what do you do? Because it doesn't seem like there's a easy or great trade option you can kind of go grab right away and bring onto this roster. The solution probably in the meantime is going to be you just grit your teeth, try to get through it, hope Kesselring can get back on the ice, and you squeeze through these next 2 weeks, and then you get Connor Timmins back, and hopefully the rest of your blue line stays healthy, and you're on your way. Maybe if a couple games go south, or it becomes really, really, really obvious that these guys are burned out, we see something, but I just don't see an easy option out there unless somebody comes on waivers. That makes sense. You can grab. I wonder if they were in on Igor Zamula. I don't know. When he signed with Columbus, he would have made sense, kind of a depth guy to bring in, but he went to the Jackets to get that NHL role there. So it's a concern. It's something that I've had an eye on. Something that I've tried to draw attention to, that while it's working now and it's going well now, it's not something that you can sustain for a long term, especially when you're looking at 33 games left in this season. If you're going to wear your defenseman down that much, it's just simply not going to work. So, maybe Kesselring gets back and Timmins gets back and it's okay. But yeah, that's something that they're going to have to keep an eye on and probably address at some point here. Where we will go next is the fun forwards, the two children, if you will, I keep calling them, that are really exciting fans. Noah Ostlund, who's been here for a little bit now and seemingly a full-blown Buffalo Sabre NHL player. I don't think he's going back to the Amerks. And then Consta Helenius. I have to get used to that. It's been a Helenius for so long, so Helenius is really going to throw me off a little bit. What a game on Tuesday night from the two of them. I mean, and with Zach Benson on that line, they look dangerous. You know, even after Nashville started to come back, when they got back out there again late in that game or late in the second, they were still creating. They were still pushing play up the ice. They weren't stuck in their zone as long in the defensive zone. What a game. What a game. You know, you saw we'll start with Helenius. You saw the upside that I've been watching with the Amerks, how others have seen. 19 years old, I believe. But there's that veteran game, maybe the best way to put it. You know, coming from Finland, where he played pro hockey a lot before he came to North America when the Sabres drafted him, that was one of the benefits of picking him, is because he could probably be closer to being NHL ready because of the experience he had playing a pro game and the familiarity with that and the way that you're taught in Finland, you know, to play a two-way style and be that kind of player, pushed him probably more towards being NHL ready. He's been easily the best player on the Amerks once Ostlund has been gone. The data that in our tracking data reflects that. And now he comes up here, not missing a beat, seizing the opportunity, playing that similar two-way reliable style of hockey. So it's being good defensively. It's being strong on the forecheck. It's being smart in the neutral zone. It's attacking with speed, attacking on the forecheck. And then the finish, right? The finish or the playmaking, you know, that's what makes him so lethal. His shot is underrated. We saw that in the one goal he scored. UC Saros, fellow Finn, got a rude awakening to that one. And the playmaking, the vision, the way he moves the puck, how well he enters the zone with control, and how dangerous he can be off the rush when he does do that, and combine that with Ostlund, who's equally as dangerous. You know, those two could really be something together for a long time here moving forward. You know, it's switching it over to Ostlund. Like, if you followed me, I've been a big Ostlund guy. I've thought very highly of him. The reports that I've gotten from people out of Sweden before he came over were very good, that he plays a better two-way game than he's given credit for. He's not just that playmaker, that he plays he can play that forechecking style. We're seeing that. We saw that all come through when he came over to North America for the Amerks. We saw his solid rookie season last year, and then he picked right up where he left off, and that has earned him a roster spot on this team and probably moving forward as a key piece to this team. He was one of the highest. I think he was pretty close with McLeod and Zucker, almost dead even in 5-on-5 minutes among forwards yesterday. Ruff is utilizing him in all situations, power play. I've seen him out there in some penalty kill at times, late in games, big situations, not afraid to play him and to lean on him. And Ostlund has rewarded him. 9 goals and 17 points in 37 games. That's a 20-goal, 38-point pace over 82 as a 21-year-old rookie in this league. It's really just, I keep harping on it, from Doan to Ostlund to Helenius to Benson. It's that underrated forecheck. It's the aggressiveness on the puck. It's that you feel like, and we see it with all these good teams that, in the past when the Sabres have played them and just it doesn't look like they're in the same league as them, it seems that team is always just on them. They're just always on the puck. They're just all over them, smothering. And for the most part, that's the kind of way we've seen the Sabres. It's what they've started to do more. And these players are a key component in that, to go along with the skill of the other guys they have on the roster, to this mix. I just can't overstate enough that it is a huge, if not the primary reason that this team is where they are right now and essentially in the driver's seat for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. And it's exciting moving forward because, Doan, 23 years old, Ostlund, 21, Helenius, 19, Benson is 20. Don't forget Yuri Kulik when he, if he can get recovered from those blood clots. He's 20, 21 years old. There's a young foundation here, a good young foundation. It's not, you're reaching, you're grabbing, and maybe some of these guys, as the league gets familiar with them, might take a little bit of a step back and have some struggles. That's normal. That's fine. But it really opens the door and opportunities for decisions for this team moving forward. And it's maybe something we'll get down the road that I don't think we need to get into tonight. Look at decisions on Alex Tuch. What does Helenius and Ostlund play into that? Do you need to pay Alex Tuch $10 million now when you have these guys coming? Doan just got paid what he got paid. It's realistic things that this new front office has to consider. I'm not prepared to sit here and say one way or the other yet. I lean certain ways, and I think we'll save that for another day for sure. And we kind of maybe just focus on that Tuch situation entirely. But yeah, to get back to those two, great job, exciting. I'm really happy to be able to get the opportunity to watch, Helenius get his chance in the NHL and see how he takes advantage of that over these next 8 games. It's going to be a lot of important games. They're going to need him, especially if Norris is going to miss a handful of these games. But they're going to need the impact, not only from Helenius, but from Ostlund too. And Ostlund has stepped in and done a good job while Norris has been out. So full credit to him. And then that's exciting. And the last thing is the goaltender. So I don't think I want to spend a ton of time here, but it's worth noting they're all healthy. Luukkonen, Lyon, and Colton Ellis. Luukkonen played well recently against Carolina. On Monday, Lyon looked pretty good for the most part against Nashville. I think, the one Forsberg goal was kind of from the wall. You'd like a save there, but for the most part, I think he looked comfortable. He was moving well, reading the puck well, all encouraging signs. And then Ellis, seemingly like he's the odd man out here. Luukkonen is playing good enough. Lyon's playing good enough when he's in. And look, right now they don't have to make a decision. They have the roster spot to roster all 3. Would it kill them to go through it for another couple weeks? No, they've gone through it all this, up to this point. So, it gives you some protection in case somebody goes down again. It's been a consistency throughout the season that when you feel like you're getting pretty close to full healthy and you have to make a big roster decision, somebody goes out again and then you avoid that. So, that could happen again here. And I anticipate, with the roster space they have available, they'll kind of just let this ride out, especially when it's as compact as I keep saying it with the schedule. It might not hurt to have 3 goalies. You're kind of throwing some fresh legs in there when you need to help your team and maybe kind of steal some and get some solid goaltending performance when your team might not be up to it. But I think definitely after the Olympic break, once they get their guys back, once everybody likely is healthy with that time off, and there's definitely going to be a decision to be made. And sitting here right now, it's unfortunate. He's the younger one. He's the one maybe who has that upside, that ceiling. But Ellis just looks like the odd man out. It's just I can't. It's chaos watching him, and I keep saying it. He's a puck stopper, but I just feel like I can't rely consistently on that performance. There's too many times where I feel like almost every puck is going in. He somehow stops. He doesn't know where the rebound is. He's dropping it. He's all over the crease, and that could just be an age thing, and he's got to learn how to get through that. But yeah, I mean, this is a different situation too, where a couple of weeks ago, maybe he goes back to the Blues and that's it. But I think if you look around the league right now, there's a couple of teams that could use a goaltender. So not only do I think the Blues could be somebody who would look at him, but there's a handful of other teams around the league that are having their own goaltending issues. Like, why wouldn't Ottawa claim Colton Ellis? Would a team like Columbus maybe? Would a team like the Rangers, who are having their goaltending issue? Why wouldn't they take a young guy now when they're essentially waving the white flag? So I don't think it's that clean that he'll go down, he'll clear. Especially with St. Louis, I don't think that's going to happen anyways. They'll probably put a claim in no matter what. But I think there's other teams this time. It's not just the Blues. So it's yeah. It's unfortunate that the spot isn't there for him right now, but if everything is all equal when the Olympic break is over, I'm pretty sure he's got to be the one that they decide to move on from in one way or another. All right, 36 minutes. I'm getting tired. Some late nights last few days. You push your game back by 1 hour, and it pushes your entire night schedule back 1 hour, and especially that game, you kind of had to come down from the adrenaline a little bit, right, of that contest. So I think I'm good for tonight. Get some rest. Montreal Canadiens tomorrow in Montreal. Big game. The Sabres are 4 points back of Montreal, who holds that third place in the Atlantic Division. If the Sabres were to win, they would get 2 points back with a game in hand on Montreal too. I have my concerns about tomorrow. To be quite frank, if they're showing the same fatigue that they showed against Nashville, it could be a long night. One of those ones you can maybe just kind of grit through and then move to the next one. Maybe get a solid goalie performance that bails you out, or maybe they surprise us like they've been all season and they come out flying and pick up the win in Montreal and keep this train moving, because that would be fun. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will talk again soon. See ya.